The railroad has been essential to the development and identity of the United States, serving as a crucial means of transportation and a symbol of progress. Its historical significance is evident in the westward expansion of the 19th century, particularly with the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869, which connected the nation and facilitated the movement of goods and people. This not only boosted economic growth but also fostered cultural exchange, creating a shared American experience. In modern times, the railroad remains vital to the nation's infrastructure. Freight trains transport over 1.7 billion tons of goods annually, providing an efficient and environmentally friendly alternative to road transport. This helps reduce traffic congestion and lower greenhouse gas emissions, aligning with the growing focus on sustainability. Passenger rail services, such as Amtrak, further emphasize the railroad's importance by offering affordable travel options that connect urban and rural communities. This accessibility promotes social equity and allows diverse individuals to engage with different regions of the country. Moreover, the railroad industry supports millions of jobs and drives advancements in technology and engineering. As a critical asset in addressing contemporary transportation challenges, the railroad embodies the spirit of innovation and unity that defines the American experience. Its significance resonates in the lives of all Americans, linking them to their past and shaping their future.
So, hey Dave, how you doing?
Doing well, Mike. I appreciate having me back on, man. Happy New Year to you and everybody else there, and good to be back on.
Hey Dave, good. Hey, I just wondered, are you using a different phone or something? You sound kind of muffled up tonight than normal.
Oh, no, not at all. No, same phone I've always had.
Okay, maybe it's my ears getting bassy, not hearing high. So anyway, good to have you back out here, Dave. So, all right, I briefly went over some of the things that you sent me, though, if I can remember any of them. So maybe you want to start up, because I got some interesting things going on here, too. So anyway, go ahead, let's start up. What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one thing that I've noticed lately when I've been out rail fanning is there's been a lot fewer trains running, and it seems like the ones that are running are a lot shorter. This came up a few weeks ago. Progressive Railroading had an article that said U.S. freight rail traffic falls 7% back like towards the end of December. So, they said it was down. Like I said, they reported that the carloads and the intermodal traffic like the week before Christmas was down, and I'm assuming that's going to continue here into the new year. I think the weather's got something to do with it, and I think obviously now we're out of peak season, so there's not going to be all those extras running. I don't know if you saw that video I sent you about the Amazon train that ran. It was like a special train that ran on Norfolk Southern between Chicago and Jacksonville, and then CSX tried that in the fall. They ran it with the BNSF. It ran from the West Coast to Jacksonville, and they interchanged it with them in Birmingham. So those are trains that, obviously run, during peak season, but it seems like the last few weeks, and even this week especially, it seems like even the UPS trains and, even the manifest freights are very short. It seems like, the few, they don't even need DPU or anything. They're so short. So, yeah, it's been strange, man. They, it seems like the traffic is down right now.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that. I have noted that too, though, but it seems like right around the holidays they do that a lot, though. Everything's cut down. But I asked them today, Saturday's usually a busy day around here. I haven't heard a whole lot of traffic today, though. Stuff going on in and out of Bellevue, that's the only thing I've been hearing, though, but I'm not hearing anything on, say, the Chicago line. the Cleveland line has been getting a lot of use. Now B28 is running down that line now instead of on the main line for some reason. So I guess I don't know. B28 probably heads up toward the northern part of New York, probably. I can't remember. I've looked it up many times and can't remember. So anyway, yeah, go on, Dave.
Yeah, 28B. Yeah, he's been getting off the Chicago line there at Vermilion. That guy on train orders. I don't know his name. His username is Trains1275. He's been documenting that quite a bit because he goes through that new crossover at the west end of Vermilion there, and he gets on the nickel plate there, and he goes up through like Lorraine and Avon Lake, and then he goes out towards Buffalo that way. Instead of getting on the Clogsville there by the airport at Rockport. So that train is running a different route there, that's for sure. So but not too many trains run that route. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, like the passenger railroads are doing really well right now. MTA Metro North, Long Island Railroad posted December ridership records. The week of December 15th was the highest post-pandemic ridership recovery week for Metro North, with over 827,000 riders for a record 88% of an average pre-pandemic week in December 2019. Typically, they always said that like the weekend before Christmas is a very strong weekend for Metro North. Obviously, people going shopping in New York City and that type of stuff. I guess supposedly the Long Island Railroad broke a ridership record as well. They said on December 13th, over 182,000 rode the trains on the Long Island Railroad. December 21st, they had over 152,000. I guess the railroads, they've been saying they expected a surge after the new year. I guess tomorrow they're saying that a new ticketing policy will take place and it'll help the customer experience and help the riders save money. So it goes to show that, Mike, obviously around New York City, there's a ton of traffic with people driving in and out of the city. So get on these trains, and obviously there are no freight trains in these, passenger trains way, because there's very little freight traffic on Long Island, almost none in New York City unless you count Oak Point, which is a very limited yard in a lot of ways, because most of the freight traffic goes over to the other side of the Hudson, northern New Jersey there, at the ports and at the UPS plant in North Bergen, and South Kearney is important too. But yeah, these passenger railroads around New York City are doing a great job growing their business.
Wow, wow, that's crazy. They increase them riders up there like that. But wow, that's incredible. Hey, back to your phone, though, your audio's muffling, though. Are you holding a finger over maybe the microphone hole or something on the end, or are you...
No. How's this? Is this better or no?
No, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's my phone. All these stupid updates I get on this phone, every time I get an update, it's always something screwed up, Maybe it did something to my phone. I just thought I'd ask that because... do
you want me to go to a different room? I can go to a different room here in my apartment. You want me to try that?
Well, I don't think it's signal issue, though. Yeah, try whatever you want to try.
Let me go to a different room here, see if that helps. Let me go in my bedroom here. Let me see if that works.
Oh, it started coming up.
How's that?
That's a lot better than it was. Try again.
How's that, Mike? Is that better?
Well, for a moment, the treble went up and it went back down. You might have dust or dirt in the microphone hole by... That's possible. So I can understand you, though. I can bring up the audio levels in the studio here a little bit so we could hear, at least hear you out, though. So, all right, well, there's nothing we can do about it, though. I tried everything. So turned down the treble on his mixer channel. No. He's not on a mixer, I don't think. I don't know. I could try doing it on mine. In fact, I don't even want to touch anything because I just look at this stuff sometimes once in a while and just looking at it if something goes haywire. So the only thing I can do. So, all right, Dave, go ahead.
All right, yeah. Let me try. Let's try this here. It just went into my bedroom, so we'll try it in here. So the other story, while we're talking about passenger rail, is there's another story that came up with the testing completed on the Hudson River Tunnel boring machine. So this was announced back in mid-December that the first 2 tunnel boring machines for the Hudson River Tunnel project will be started, I guess. From what it sounds like, Mike, the project's calling for construction of 9 miles of passenger rail track between New York and New Jersey, and about 5 miles of those are to go under the Hudson River, it sounds like. The tunnel boring is going to start in the spring this year. They're talking about, I guess the biggest thing they're saying, there's, 450 Amtrak and New Jersey Transit trains that go on this tunnel, or go through this tunnel each day. And what they're talking about is they want to make this a wider, right now there's only 2 tracks, and they want to go to 4. I was a little surprised there's only 2 tracks in the Northeast Corridor running into New York City, honestly. I thought it would have been 4, just because of, the volume and how many passengers go in and out of there. So I'm a little bit surprised at that, but 4, I guess they want to make it a 4-track line, which hopefully will make things a lot smoother for, operation's sake, and, obviously trains running on time in and out of New York and going into New Jersey.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, as you're talking, I'm trying to make an adjustment on the console a little bit. Maybe the audio sounds better coming out. I kicked up the highs a little bit. Okay, go ahead, Dave. Just wondering what's going on, so go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of stories this week. I guess the other thing too that was big last month was that CPKC holiday train raised a record of $2 million Canadian. The holiday train held 194 live music performances in 6 provinces and 13 states during its November 19th through December 21st run. They donate to local food banks at each stop and collected more than 175,000 pounds of food donations from spectators, the officials for CPKC said. Since 1999, Mike, the CPKC and the holiday train have raised more than $28.3 million and collected over 5.6 million pounds of food. So this train, it's interesting, Mike, there's times where it does not run on CPKC tracks to go from Canada to Chicago. It obviously uses the Norfolk Southern line between Detroit and Chicago. They go down through Adrian, Michigan, get on the Chicago line at Butler, and then go across through Elkhart and South Bend and go up Otis Hill there and go around Gary, Indiana to get into Chicago. So, this is a big thing, man, for charity. This is a big deal. And, it's great to see the railroad contributing to this. Obviously, CPKC is a huge company now with the merger. So it's great to see, how well they've done with this.
Wow. Interesting stuff. So, remember I was saying I got a couple of things here's something about, don't mean to cut you off, though, but before I forget, seems like Wheeling and Lake Erie is being bought out by an organization called Trainstar. Have you heard of them before?
I did hear about that. Yeah, that's something I definitely did hear about, yes.
Yeah, it looks like the deal is going to be done sometime in September of this year, of course. It's a new year and everything, so I just wondered if Trainstar is going to keep the Wheeling and Lake Erie locomotives, the ones they have, the real classics, such as the heritage units and stuff, or are they going to upgrade with newer equipment? I'm kind of wondering how that's going to fare. I don't know. It's just going to be strange if someday I go up here by the station and see trains that says Trainstar or some other name on them, though. But I hope they keep at least the heritage unit. So maybe keep like the 30th anniversary locomotives, Operation Lifesaver. I'm sure they would probably keep something like that along, though. But although Trainstar would be owning the name of Wheeling Lake Erie, I just hope they don't come in there and mess things up like, well, we talked about UP and Norfolk Southern. That's a disaster on the horizon there. So anyway, that's one bit though. What I'm here's going on here. Yeah, Bruce, Ohio. They sold it for just a little above $1 billion. So, sound like they got a railroad for cheap, a short line. I don't know.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like that's pretty cheap. Yeah, for a railroad. Wheeling and Lake Erie covers a pretty big area too.
Yeah, about 800 miles of track or something like that, I believe.
Yes, yeah. They obviously go all the way out to Toledo, and then they go like down into Pittsburgh, and they go east of Pittsburgh as well. So yeah, they have some big areas that they cover and some important commodities that they ship. So. Yeah, I would say that let's hope they keep all the, operating procedures in place because that leads us into our next story with NS and UP. There's obviously now there's more and more talk of mergers heating up. There was like a 7,000-page thing about the merger application, and this guy on RailroadFan.com, I don't know if he's listening tonight, Ed Kyle. He's got some really good insight into like some of the breakdowns of it for like kind of from the railroad perspective. I guess there's going to be a couple trains that are going to be running, using the Golden State route and the Wabash. They're saying there's going to be a couple other trains that are going to go Detroit now. It sounds like they're kind of trying to bypass the nickel plate west of Claypool, Indiana. Is what this guy was saying. There's like maps, different maps this guy put out. And this guy, Mike, is really plugged in. He's one of these guys that, is an insider. He really has good connections to the railroad. And, he's got a website that has, like, from all these different years of how much traffic there were on each route for all the big railroads. So he was saying that, it sounds like, west of Claypool, they're going to be losing some traffic. The gross tonnage is going to be down quite a bit. And he said they're going to really try to gear more trains onto the Chicago line towards Elkhart. So it sounds like they're trying to keep trains out of Chicago as well, from what I understand. They're hoping that more trains go through Memphis, which I don't know if that's a great move. As we saw last year with the news and all the break-ins in Memphis. So that'll be an interesting thing to see how that goes down. I mean, obviously, we're just going to wait and see what happens with that whole merger, Mike, because it's way up in the air right now, and the rumors are flying that it's pretty legitimate. Let's hope it's not, but it doesn't sound good, man.
No, it definitely sure doesn't, so. Oh, boy. Something I was going to mention, though. Yeah, I'll think about it here in a minute. So, toward a little bit later, I'll tell you what I have observed here the past month, though, out there rail fanning. And, I'll tell you about it right now, real quick. It ain't real long. But it's down in Lodi, Ohio, with Parker Daly, CSX Ohio Rail Fan Plus, and we were filming delivery at the Heidelberg Materials. I think they manufacture concrete or some kind of product in there, though, delivering cars. So, anyway, when they finally left the scene, we had a train approach, I forget what it was. It might have been 277 or M370 or something. I know it's one of them. Not sure which. But anyway, here comes this box truck, though, and gates came on, when the train's approaching, though, and he was about to attempt to run the gate. And he stopped, though, when the gate landed on this hood. Well, he tried to back up, and guess the hood ornament or something caught the gate. It was, or something on the truck caught it, though. He backed up and pow, the gate arm broke.
Oh, geez. Oh, wow.
But fortunately, it wasn't the what do they call that? The long piece over there. Fortunately, it had a shear pin on that crossing gate. When he pulled back, it just sheared the pin, and anyway, at least it wasn't that severely damaged. But it goes to show that take these crossing lights and everything seriously, though, because it could have been probably bad. He probably could have made it across there in spite if he continued forward and broke the gate anyway. He could have made it through, but still, it's a stupid move. It was a truck from Texas. Had a Texas plate. So after the train went by and he went on his way, I did get his license number, and I called CSX, informed that the gate was broken, and told him, though, I know the truck, got the license number. He says, oh, very good. I gave him the license number and everything. We stuck around there and kept an eye on the crossing, though a couple other trains came along before the signal maintainer came. So he came out and, what do they call it, pinned the gate down lower. Of course, the lights came on for safety reasons. Oh, he just pushed the gate up and forward, and he stuck a new pin in, and good as done. In the end, though, the guy on CSX, well, since I gave him the license number, they'll find out who that driver is, and they're going to send him a bill. They're going to send him a bill. Had me going. I said, oh, good, somebody will pay for stupidity. It's just plain stupid. But anyway, that was my encounter down in Lodi, Ohio. That was probably close to the after that we were last on, so maybe a weekend. So, all right, Dave, go ahead. You probably got a bunch of other stuff to cover here. We're at 21 minutes.
Yeah, fascinating stuff there, Mike. Yeah, I'll kind of give a quick story. I had sort of not an encounter like that, but before I get back to our topics we got for tonight, a few weeks ago, 26X, the hot eastbound train on NS that runs between, actually comes off the BNSF in Chicago, and
that's an eastbounder. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. It's a hot train that comes off BNSF, and the last door or one of the last trailer doors on that eastbound, the door was open when I saw it go by in Macedonia.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, I went home and I kind of reviewed it on a couple rail cams on Porter Junction, and then I went on maybe one other one, and then I said, well, I'm going to watch it go by Alliance when I get home, because Alliance to Macedonia is like a 40-minute train ride, and so I got home. I felt like a referee in a football game. I was reviewing a call, and the door was open. I ran it back a couple times in Alliance, and then I called Norfolk Southern about it, and I don't know if anything was ever done, because the next morning I saw it went by Horseshoe Curve at a pretty normal time. So if it was delayed, it was slightly delayed. Maybe they shut it at Conway, I'm guessing, before it went east over the mountains. But yeah, that was probably my one dealing with, obviously not what you had, but a similar type thing that you dealt with, obviously. So yeah, it's that was kind of my one story to talk about from that perspective. But yeah, another story that's big lately is North Carolina. The Department of Transportation, Mike, is seeking public comments on a state rail plan designed to guide freight and passenger rail service for over the next 30 years. Now, the public comments aren't due till January 20th. The last state rail plan was adopted in 2015. So they're talking about the continued development of the Southeast Corridor. The corridor is comprised of freight and passenger rail lines from Washington, D.C., all the way down to Florida, throughout the Southeast. I guess they want to try and enhance the network down there, new and expanded passenger rail service, new industrial access spurs, capacity upgrades, investments in short line infrastructure. In addition, to on-dock access tracks at Wilmington and Morehead City ports. So, Mike, obviously, this is a topic we've talked about before. They want to maybe put in that reconstruct that S line between Petersburg, Virginia, and Raleigh, and then south of Raleigh, that line is pretty sleepy. But except for a couple local freights and Amtrak and maybe some grain trains that go to the Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western, that come off of that line at Hamlet. So it'll be interesting, Mike, what happens with this. Do they, I think the port stuff with Morehead City and Wilmington is pretty legitimate. I've heard some stories about trains that are running from Hamlet. Like the Hamlet used to be a really, really big yard on CSX down there, and it's kind of a ghost town now because of PSR and everything. And they're running more and more stacked trains to Wilmington. So that's a good sign right there. It'll be interesting to see if I think Morehead City is I think NS and maybe some short lines operate over there. So, to me, North Carolina and the Carolinas, myself, Mike, always felt like they should be busier with trains, but just doesn't seem like there's enough rail traffic there to really justify like the main lines that go through that state. It seems like there's big main lines, but not as many trains as you would think.
Wow. Interesting. Don't mind me. Kind of like in an ozone tonight, but maybe because I didn't eat something earlier, though. Should have. So, okay, what else you got?
Yeah, so let's go into, while we're talking about things changing and everything, the Ann Arbor Railroad, it sounds like the Ann Arbor is the Great Lakes Central Railroad. I guess what's going to happen with them is Watco is going to be acquiring control of the system, with the Ann Arbor and the Great Lakes Central. It looks like this past summer and maybe even this past fall was the last chance to really capture the Great Lakes Central as we come to know it. So I guess this did happen it sounds like it happened in October maybe when they did this. And this was, a lot of the Ann Arbor trackage is the lion's share of the GLC's system. The Ann Arbor main line, Mike, goes from Toledo all the way up to Frankfort, Michigan. Obviously this is a big thing, because in Michigan, there are a lot of industries that are important, like a lot of, like Saginaw has a lot of industries that are important to the chemical industry. I think Dow Chemical, Mike, is huge up in that area.
I bet it is.
Yeah, and I think, what happened with a lot of these tracks, Mike, was like when Conrail came around and like Penn Central, kind of let all this stuff go.
Yeah.
And then Conrail came around, and we all know Conrail was really good, like for kind of the overall scheme of railroading. But the negative with Conrail was, Mike, a lot of the branch lines and a lot of the shorter haul routes, they kind of didn't really care about because their focus was mainly on the Chicago to the East Coast routes, and that's why obviously the breakup ultimately happened to CSX and NS because they became a monopoly with that. But this short line stuff, they largely ignored, so that's where these other railroads came into play. It seems like, the Great Lakes Central has been pretty viable. I know they run some trains that interchange with the Ann Arbor, and then they run them down to Toledo. I know there were trains that, people have been saying that came into Toledo. I think they went to Walbridge on CSX. So obviously they've got a good base of traffic if they're interchanging a lot with CSX and, the other class ones there, in Michigan and around Toledo. So, it goes to show that, we talked about this a little bit before, that it's not all about the big game hunting and the UPS and the Schneider Nationals and the FedEx and the JB Hunt. It's the guy who has the little industry that maybe he gets 3 boxcars a month. But you know what? If you can grow that to 6 a month or 10 a month, that's huge for his business.
Yeah.
Because that's where, I guess the unseen side of railroading really is. And that's where you want to keep that viable, and you want to keep that away from trucks, and because that's what makes railroading really tick at its core.
Wow, really? Hey, I've got a question. When you were talking a little bit ago, did you sniffle or make a sound in the background?
No, I did not. No.
Okay, I'm hearing something along with when you're speaking like somebody else is there. Might be my imagination. But occasionally I hear something that's other than you. I don't know, are they wiretapping us or what? I don't know. But I definitely heard something, and if there's somebody there listening, though, I know you're there. Definitely. Anyway, go ahead, Dave.
Let's go to another story while we're talking about short lines. Let's go to Nicholsville, Kentucky. This happened last week.
Nicholsville.
Yeah, effective at the end of January, Raymond Goss, the president of R.J. Coleman Railroad, is going to retire.
I'm familiar with that name, I believe. Yes.
Yes, yeah. He's had quite a resume with railroads, Mike. Goss has held leadership and operational roles with companies including Genesee in Wyoming, Amtrak, and Canadian Pacific. During his time at R.J. Coleman, the company expanded through acquisitions and new operations, including its Childsburg line, the Raleigh and Fayetteville Railroad, which used to be a Norfolk Southern line that I rail fanned when I lived down that way years and years ago, the Knoxville and Cumberland Gap Railroad, the Oswego and Hartford Railroad, the Lehigh Railway, and the Luzerne and Susquehanna Railway. He also saw infrastructure improvements, securing federal grants to rehabilitate hundreds of miles of track, upgrade bridges, and modernize grade crossings. Obviously his big thing was advancing safety, improving efficiency, and strengthening relationships with customers. He's obviously a guy that's, made them grow a lot. They operate now 19 short lines in 11 states. The larger R.J. Coleman Railroad Group, which is involved with other things, I think derailments and big picture railroad, maintenance and things like that, employs more than 1,400 people in 24 states. Signal design and construction as well they're involved with. So, Mike, this guy had a really big job, obviously, going from the big railroads and obviously coming over to R.J. Coleman. Maybe looking back at that, maybe Amtrak and Canadian Pacific, with all the problems they've had, maybe they should have held on to this guy because this guy sounds like someone who really knew what he was doing, and I wish him the best in his retirement. Hope he gets to do what he really likes to do, spend time with his family and enjoy life, because obviously he had a great career as a railroader.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I got to hand it to R.J. Coleman because they do one heck of a good job, though, cleaning up these messes, re-railing these trains, everything. They do one heck of an excellent job, and I give them a thumbs up. I got to respect them guys, though. They get things moving, though, keeping America moving, like I always say in my videos and stuff. So, anyway, we're at a little past 32 minutes, so we can probably go on a little bit. So, what else you'd like to cover?
Yeah, this is a big topic, actually. Train orders in the past month was kind of a bleep show. There was a lot of people kind of going after each other on there, and the topics weren't great, but a lot of people mixing in some, silly topics and things like that I didn't really think was worth covering. But this guy Mike,
oh, jeez.
Yeah, we'll save the names and the nicknames I could have for some of these people for another day. That's, I'm not going to waste my time on that, but they all know who they are out there. Some people probably let's just say they had a little too much eggnog for Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, but this guy, his name is Mike Root. He goes by the name Shortline Boss on the Western Railroad discussion on train orders.
Shortline Boss.
Yeah, I like that name. I really like it.
Rings a bell. I think I've probably heard the name somewhere. I didn't know who or what. Sounds familiar.
Like
huh?
you go with a name like that, you know your stuff about trains. I'm just going to
Yeah.
put it that way.
I would say.
He's got to know a few things about trains. I don't know why. Maybe he should be handling the negotiations in Washington with UP and NS and saying it shouldn't happen. But I'll just leave it at this. He said that BNSF eliminated the brakeman positions on locals. He noticed that the BNSF Bend, Oregon local only had a 2-person crew on Friday. And then there's another guy called Texican 65. He goes, it's not working out so well, at least for those of us out in the leads and the main lines. Moves that used to take an hour now take 3 or 4 hours, or sometimes the entire shift. Just depends on what kind of disarray and chaos is happening at this time. The yard helpers and the brakemen were eliminated, but now they're all sitting on a retention board, not working and collecting a paycheck. Meanwhile, everything's falling apart. I mean, that's, to me, Mike, that really sums up, kind of Class 1 railroading in a nutshell right there. It's just sad because, they really, all they care about is cutting things some more, and then cut even more if they can. I guess on the other side of this is I have heard NS has reinstated a few train symbols between, Conway and maybe Bellevue or Elkhart. I think 11K got trimmed back to Conway, but they put 13N back in from Conway to Elkhart, and then 15K, which hasn't run in years, is back between Conway and Bellevue. And I don't know if this is like a desperation move on NS's part before the potential merger, but it just seems like, these railroads look at one thing, and it's about the biggest thing this one guy posted on here, Dr. No was his name. So
sound like James Bond movie here. The very first one. Now go ahead.
Yeah. He goes, it is not about running a transportation company. It's now a numbers jumble to spend no money on operating or make the operating rate zero and the stock price is $800 a share. Can that happen long term? No. Does the Glass Palace care? No. Just make the millions in bonuses and flee the sinking ship for warmer climates in the Caribbean. Wall Street will find another industry to exploit and destroy. Rinse and repeat. So, yeah. I mean,
wow.
There's more stuff. I mean, then there's another guy, San Joaquin engineer. This is back on New Year's Eve. He had this take. Basically, the UP trainmen were given a $30,000 check to eliminate the brakemen on the local. For example, the intermodal terminal in Long Beach has a utility man that takes the long shoves and does the other items to build trains. It's unbelievable, Mike, that all this stuff kind of continues to happen. And, while we're talking about that consolidating stuff, back to Ed Kyle, the guy I mentioned earlier, who is a real insider and a guy, he's kind of the I'd almost call him the Adam Schefter of one of those guys that, they know all the inside information before it happens. He said, if the merger goes through with NS and UP, the plan will be that the UP's intermodal terminal in Dalton, Illinois will close, and they will shift traffic over to the 47th Street Yard, which is NS owned. And Yard Center's Manifest Yard will remain. NS's 63rd Street Intermodal Terminal will be transferred to UP's Global 2 Yard, and then Global 2 and 47th Street will see more lifts per day. Global 4 Yard near Joliet will see a lot less work, and because they're going to be shifting a lot more traffic to the Kansas City, Butler, Indiana route, bypassing Chicago. I guess, it sounds like there's an automotive facility that will close as well in Chicago Heights on the UP. So it just, and I guess there's rumors too, Mike, that the NS, I think in Fort Wayne, I think the locomotive facility there is going to be closed.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of change is coming, Mike. It's not, who knows if this all goes down with the mergers, but like that one poster said, the only person that's really doing well with this nonsense is the only people doing well is this garbage on Wall Street. They're the ones that really want this all to go down. So
Garbage Street, yep.
Yeah.
And the way New York's going right now, it's going to be Garbage Street, I'll tell you that. All the streets are going to be named Rubbish Avenue, Trash Street, and Garbage Avenue, and whatever garbage goes on. But, yeah, I know where you're coming from on that and how that's going in Wall Street, which is probably...
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's see here. Let's go north of the border for the next story here. The Ottawa-Montreal traffic lane is being chosen as a starting point for the Alto high-speed rail project.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be one of Canada's largest infrastructure investments in decades. Building the first high-speed rail network in Canada will turbocharge our economy, create well-paying jobs, support Canadian businesses and industry while delivering to Canadians a transportation system of a major economy. I guess this is going to be, they're starting this between Ottawa and Montreal. They could expand it to Quebec City and Toronto. There's going to be, starting this month, a 3-month consulting process through virtual sessions, open houses, and an online platform. Canadians will have multiple opportunities to share their views on the corridor under study. I think this could work, Mike. It sounds like obviously you're going to, really try to make this separate from Via Rail. You're going to keep this away from freight. Ottawa's not a big area for freight at all. I don't think many freight trains go to Ottawa. I think there's like a short line that goes into Ottawa, but it's never been a big area for main freight traffic between Montreal. The freight traffic between Montreal and Toronto stays closer to the St. Lawrence Seaway in Lake Ontario. I think this is worth a shot if they can pull it off. I think Canadians seem to love to travel by train. I mean, I've talked to some Canadians over the years that have taken the train from Vancouver to Toronto. They absolutely love it. And then there's some areas, Mike, that are very, like the Ontario Northland Railroad. I think they might have had a passenger train at one time where, they're in kind of the boonies of Canada, and like the train's an important part of their travel. But I think between Ottawa and Montreal, the 401 and that highway there is so busy. And I've heard it's kind of like the Autobahn there. Like the speeds are just insane on that highway. So why not get on a train and, not have to worry about driving and feel like you're in the Indy 500 to, make it to your destination. So it makes sense, I think, to do this.
Wow. Yeah, it'd be good. I don't know. That brings into mind about what's going to happen here. I don't know if you heard this. I kind of ran it by Natalie, which she's a citizen of Canada up there. You hear the talk about what's going on with Alberta and Saskatchewan?
I did not. What's going on up there?
Well, it looks like it's getting closer and closer, though. People say this would never happen, though, but it sounds like they're going to subsede from Canada and become the 51st and 52nd state.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah, so what's going to happen with the Canadian National and Canadian Pacific, though, running through there? Is it going to keep it that way? Probably more likely. But anyway, that was something I was going to discuss on my next round here. So, yeah, I didn't know if you was aware of that, but man, it seems like it's getting real close to that actually happening because the people up there are just totally fed up with the Prime Minister over there in Canada, though. They're just totally fed up, and they're going to subsede. Secede, I know it's one of those two words. Anyway, we're at 42, 59, 43 minutes, so anything else?
Not too much else. I would say, the big thing right now is people are just waiting to see the takeaway on this whole thing with the merger. Does this really happen? Does it not happen? People are just kind of up in the air about that. Is it going to be like the locomotive company, Waptec, used to be known as G Transportation? Like, is UP going to be buying any new locomotives if they do this merger with NS, or are they going to rely on the buffer of all the parked locomotives? I guess they were saying as of December 23rd, Mike, there were over, like, I want to say less than 5,000 locomotives active or something. So
sounds like they're holding the old rust buckets together syndrome.
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit of Bondo here and there.
It's wild to think, too. I mean, I haven't driven by, I obviously don't live in Pittsburgh anymore, but when I used to drive by Conway Yard, like back in 2024 and beginning of 2025, my God, there were so many engines parked there. Mainly were NS there at the Roundhouse, at the engine terminal there, and it just made you wonder, like, you know, will these engines ever see service again? Will they be sold to a short line one day? You know, will they be scrapped at Larry's Truck and Electric over near Youngstown? What will happen with all these locomotives that are probably some of them aren't that old? And I know that they've been doing a lot of rebuilds at Juniata, which is in Altoona. And I guess that's another question, too, Mike. What will happen with Juniata? That was a huge, huge thing for years with Conrail. Norfolk Southern's kept that around. Obviously, that's a big job thing in Altoona, you know, with, you know, people living there. Altoona is not a huge city, but a lot of people there are probably employed by the railroad. Not as many as there used to be, but still there's a fair amount that do that. But, yeah, it'll be real interesting to just see, too, how these other railroads react to it. I know CN has kind of said they want access to different routes. There was a guy on Train Orders that kind of posted about that CN wants access to, like, Kansas City and some other cities. You know, but, I mean, what does trackage rights really get them in the long run? To me, Mike, it could be just all settled by just not doing this merger.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot easier just to not do this because I think what's going to happen is, you know, these trains like this, Ed Kyle was posting about it. If you got a train going from, like, Long Beach to, like, Croxton, New Jersey, that's going to take a freaking week for that train to, you know, just make it across the country. I mean, that's by being generous. And then you get into bad weather and, you know, you get on, you know, some of those areas out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if you saw there was a train that got blown over by wind, I think in Wyoming or Kansas somewhere. I think it's Wyoming.
Yep.
And, like, you get into areas like that, like Kansas, Nebraska, you know, where the winds can howl and these tornadoes can happen.
Yeah.
And, like, you're going to have shippers saying, like, okay, like, where's my stuff? You know, now you're going to say, okay, yeah, the train left Long Beach 3 days ago, and it got blown over by a tornado in Nebraska.
Yeah.
You know, it might take a while to get there. So that's going to be a problem.
Or their goods are spread all over the place, depending how bad a tornado. But anyway, hey, we're going on 47 minutes here, so I got to turn it back over pretty quick here.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, man. Yeah, no, I thought we covered a lot of stuff tonight.
Very good.
I just hope this merger doesn't happen, and we'll, you know, we just keep hoping every day that there's no sign of it happening, because I think if anything, it's just going to make things worse for the railroad and transportation industry.
All right, very good, Dave. I can't think of anything else. So on my end, I kind of told you what happened this past month. So anyway, Dave, hate to cut you off short, but I gotta turn it back over to net control. Steve has been gone for many weeks, so I've been net controller. Well, he came on tonight being net controller, so I'm glad he's with us. So, but Steve, I hope you don't mind it being too long, though. I promise you my next 2 rounds won't be as long at all. So, anyway, well, Dave, I appreciate you coming on here. And by the way, when you hang up, though, I would look for your microphone holes and see if there's something lodged in there. I don't know if you got 2 or 1 on your phone. Mine's a stereo phone, so I got 2 of them. It's like if you get a piece of something in there, it's like earwax, you know. Your hearing becomes muffled. So I'd check that out, though, and see if there's something on there. You know, get a toothpick or something, though, but don't stick in too far because you could damage the microphone if you go too far. So You don't want to do that. And I think they got a protective screen in there anyway. So anyway, just to let you know.
Got it, Mike. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Appreciate that. And thanks again for having me on. And I'll talk to you, be in touch with you, and look forward to talking to you next month.
Yeah, it'll be February 7th.
Perfect, man. Sounds good.
Okay, Dave, thank you very much. So we'll be keeping in touch through the next month coming up, or the month here. Anyway, once again, thanks, Dave.
You got it, Mike. Yep, have a good night.
You too. Take care. Okay, that was David Coleman over in Style, Ohio.